Hi there, today we're going to make cinnamon snails, but not real ones. Come on over and I'll show you how to do this. You've got a piece of bread. Now the recipe calls for 3 pieces of bread, but we're just going to use 1 for time's sake. So what you're going to do, now this is a knife, it's just a butter knife. It's not that sharp, but you still need to get permission from your adult sous chef to use the knife. You're just going to cut off the crust. Now make sure that you leave most of the bread there. Just cut very close to the crust. So you cut it off, and it's going to end up kind of being a square shape or rectangle shape when you're done. We'll just throw away the crust. Alright, and then we have cream cheese. Now it calls for a 1/4 cup and a tablespoon for each piece. So let's go ahead and measure a tablespoon. Now it says to use soft cream cheese. This is Neufchâtel cheese, which is very similar to cream cheese, but it's a little bit healthier for you. So I've got a tablespoon. Now if you were following the recipe exactly and you used 3 pieces of bread, you would use a tablespoon for each piece. You're just going to spread it around. Now I used the brick kind of cream cheese that comes in a rectangle brick. But you can also use the kind that comes in a little tub. So we're going to spread that around here until it's on most of the bread evenly. And then what we're going to do is roll it up. So don't be too upset if your bread breaks. My bread is going to break. I tried this before and it broke, and it's going to break this time too, I can tell. So if it breaks, you know, it's still going to taste the same. We just kind of smush it down at the end, and it says to cut it into thirds. Now if you remember fractions, thirds means 3 equal parts. So 1, 2, 3. So now it's called a snail because if you look at the side, it's kind of swirly like a snail shell would be. Next we need to make our spicy coating. So we're going to use cinnamon. We're going to use 1½ teaspoons. So here's a teaspoon. There's 1 teaspoon, and now I need a ½ teaspoon. So let me read 1/2. And then TST stands for teaspoon, so that's what mine says. So I want ½ teaspoon. So 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. And then it calls for 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I'm going to grab my other tablespoon. I forgot to grab that one earlier. And measure out 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now it says to mix it. I'm just going to shake it around. I think usually when I make cinnamon and sugar mix, that's the best thing to do. Just kind of shake it around a little bit. If you want to use a spoon, you can. It saves the dish if you just shake it around, so that it's evenly mixed. Now what you're going to do is use melted butter, and this is already melted. I melted it beforehand so you wouldn't have to wait on it. You're going to take your snail and you're going to just kind of dip it in the butter. Make sure you get it on every side so that it starts to look kind of golden colored. And then you're going to take it from the butter and put it in the cinnamon and sugar and kind of roll it around too. And then it should have a brown covering on the outside. So it looks like that. And then you set it on your pan. This is a baking sheet. So we're just going to dip these in the butter until they get coated. Might take a minute to get all the different sides. And then roll it in our cinnamon and sugar. Get our last one here. That turned out really nice with the swirl pattern. I don't know if you can see that very well on our camera. Now the full recipe makes 12, so 3 for each piece of bread. And like I said, just to cut down on time, I only made 1 piece of bread this time, so it's going to make 3. But I also have some in the oven that are just about ready to come out. So let me set these bowls to the side. We'll do a quick change here because I've got one ready to come out of the oven and one that's ready to go in. Okay, this oven is heated at 350 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and stick it in the oven. And they bake for about 12 minutes. So I'll set my timer for 12 minutes. Now these are very hot, so they're going to take a minute to cool, but this is what they should look like. Nice and crispy. If I were to tap it very lightly, now be careful with that because it's hot. If I were to tap it, it kind of makes a hollow sound because it's done cooking. When it's all done, what I'll do is set it up on its side, like this, so that it looks more like a snail. And if you really want to be crafty, this isn't in the recipe, but it's something I just kind of made up. You can take a pretzel, break it in half, and since we're making snails, you can make little eyeballs. You can take raisins for the eyes. Like that. So there you go, cinnamon snails. Eat and enjoy.